Slane, triple cask, blended Irish whiskey, high quality price ratio. I'm gonna tell you all about it. Welcome to another episode of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies, and I gotta say, I'm really impressed with this whiskey. So my typical habit is, if you saw my video on how I review whiskeys, is to do a neck pour, to try a number of different ways, on water, on ice, get it past the shoulders, do a comparative review with my fellow whiskey tubers, compare notes and see how we compare. But one of the things I always want to make sure is, I try it before I listen to anybody else so that you're not influenced by someone else. But I gotta say this. There's a potential that I am drinking something different than they are, because I am much more impressed with this whiskey than some of my fellow whiskey tubers. But it may be, since their videos are much older, that their bottles are actually coming from younger casks, and this is perhaps a little bit more older whiskey getting in there, so you get a little more richness. A lot of the other whiskey tubers describe it as having a lot more youthful notes, grassy notes, and I'm not quite getting that. But before I get into this, let me tell you a little bit more about the distillery and this whiskey. Slane Triple Cask Irish Whiskey. The Slane brand name comes from the Slane Castle, a castle belonging to the aristocratic Cunningham family, located about 30 minutes from Dublin. The castle was used as a popular venue for concerts for bands such as U2 and Metallica. And then they became interested in developing their own brand of Irish whiskey. Rather than build their own distillery, they partnered with Cooley Distillery, sourcing spirit and bottling it under their own brand name. The Cunninghams then partnered with Brown-Forman to help design and build a distillery and tasting room on the grounds of their ancestral castle. $50 million project launched in 2015 is distilled by another third party, but it is blended by Slane. Slane Irish Whiskey is a blended whiskey that includes both malt and grain whiskey. It is matured in 3 different cask type, new heavy toast lighter char cask from the Brown-Forman cooperage, using Tennessee whiskey and bourbon casks, as well as Oloroso sherry casks from here, Spain. After maturing the casks separately, they are then married to produce the desired profile. So currently the distiller is unknown, although it's probably Cooley. The bottler is Slane Castle, and the composition is Irish single malt and Irish grain whiskey. The cask consists of virgin oak, ex-Oloroso sherry casks, seasoned barrels, which are ex-Jack Daniels and ex-Old Forester barrels. It is a non-age statement, but it has to be at least 3 years. It's bottled at 40% alcohol by volume and sells for about $25. So, color-wise, that sort of light bronze copper color. On the nose, I get caramel, chocolate. I do get some of that sherry notes, the fig, the dates, and the raisins, but it's more like a date compost. Not compost. Compote, like a jam or a jelly, something. Not compost, that'd be something completely different. Compote, like a fig jam or fig preserves. Get a lot of honey, a lot of vanilla, and like a buttery sauce. Definitely some baking spices, nutmeg, vanilla, a little bit of cinnamon. It's not a super spicy whiskey. It's sort of moderate on the spices. But I get a lot more of the fig dates or raisins, the fig compote, the buttery note definitely there. There's some apple notes there as well, but it's more like a bruised apple or a grilled apple, some cinnamon. All right, on the palate. So what I get on the palate is what I get on the nose. A lot of that buttery notes. It's creamy, it's soft, it's glossy. There is a little bit of maltiness that does show up on the back end though. A lot of vanilla, caramels, chocolate, the fig compote, some raisins, maybe even a little bit of butterscotch. And what lingers in the background is the vanilla and the caramels. It doesn't necessarily have a huge development from front to middle into the finish, but what is there I really, really, really like. I like this soft, silky, creamy mouthfeel, sort of glossy. It has a fairly lengthy finish, but mostly what's sticking around is the vanilla, some of the caramels, and that's a little bit of the more cinnamon spiciness. The whiskey does really, really well with just a drop of water. It really helps to open it up. Doesn't necessarily, I would say, change the palate so much, but on the aromatics, I actually start getting some floral notes when I put just a drop of water in it. On ice, the flavors really, really hold up. Now, we're going into wintertime now, the time of recording this, so I'm not drinking as much whiskey on ice because I don't need it because it's cooler weather. But on ice, it also holds up really, really well. A really delicious whiskey that doesn't break the bank. I'm going to say this is a really high quality price ratio whiskey. If you like, I would say, sherry cask whiskeys, this is a definite picking up. This is a definite bargain for anything under 30 bucks. What I'm going to give it in terms of a score, I'm going to go a solid 88 points. Solid 88 points. Now, if you watch some other reviews on YouTube and compare notes, compare videos, again, I think some of what they are drinking may be a little bit younger, a little bit newer, a newer release than what I've got. So if you've had this, and maybe you weren't as thrilled, some of them describe more green and grassy notes. I really don't get that, which are signs of a more spirit showing rather than the cask showing. So if you've tried this and you got a lot of grassy notes on it, hey, consider trying it again and see, a newer release and see if it's perhaps changed, because this is really, really nice. You would think distilleries would want to remain consistent or at least improve. I've got another Irish whiskey review coming up, another distillery that their first releases were really, really, really good, and their latest release is leaving me wanting, but I'll cover that in another video. Alrighty, if you are not yet a subscriber, but you like watching my videos, I would greatly appreciate if you would subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I go live or post a new video. And if you are one of my Patreon supporters, I want to thank you very much. Alright, until next time, cheers.